A robber changes the fate of a homeless boy and ends up in a heartwarming story. Michael Thompson was lost in his own problems when he found himself doing something he swore he'd never do again. Desperation had won once more, and there he was, trying to grab anything of value he could find to solve a situation that seemed hopeless. That's when he felt eyes watching him. Turning around, he saw a boy of just 11 staring at him with a calm expression. No fear, just curiosity. The boy was sitting on a cardboard box under the bakery's awning, as if that were his home. "Are you hungry, mister?" the boy asked, holding out half a stale loaf of bread. Michael froze. His hands still clutched the cardboard box he'd pulled, searching for something he could sell. Inside were only old clothes, a worn notebook, and a few worthless items. The boy's gesture left him completely stunned. I don't," Michael stammered, dropping the box immediately. "I know what it's like to be hungry," the boy continued, gently shaking the bread. "My name's Danny, what's yours?" The simplicity of the question hit Michael like a punch to the gut. How long had it been since someone asked his name? How long since he'd been treated like a person? "Michael," he answered automatically, still in shock. "Nice to meet you, Michael. Want to sit here with me? The awning keeps the drizzle off pretty well." Michael looked around. It was nearly 3 in the morning, the street was empty, and a light rain had begun to fall. The boy gestured invitingly, as if he owned a mansion and was offering hospitality. "Why didn't you scream? Why didn't you run?" Michael finally managed to ask. Danny shrugged, biting into the dry bread. "Where would I run? This is my home, and you don't seem like a bad person, just lost." The boy's words echoed in Michael's mind. Lost. That's exactly what he was. Lost for years, ever since things had started falling apart in his life. The sound of a key turning in the bakery's lock made them both look toward the door. Frank, the baker, had arrived to start his shift. He was a man in his 50s, with graying hair and hands calloused from a lifetime of work. "Danny, my boy, you all right?" Frank asked when he saw the child, but his expression changed when he noticed Michael. "Who's this?" Michael stood quickly, ready to bolt, but Danny was faster. "This is my Uncle Michael, Mr. Frank. He came to visit me." The baker narrowed his eyes. He'd known Danny for months and had never seen any relatives, but there was something in the boy's calmness that made him hesitate. "Uncle, huh?" Frank looked Michael up and down. "First time I've seen this uncle around here." "He lives far away," Danny replied quickly. "Just passing through town." Michael couldn't understand why the boy was lying to protect him. He felt he should run, but something kept him rooted, watching the surreal scene unfold. Frank went into the bakery but left the door slightly ajar, clearly suspicious. Michael took the chance to step closer to the boy. "Why did you do that? Why lie for me?" Danny gathered his few belongings into the cardboard box, preparing to move from the bakery's entrance as he did every morning. "Because I recognize the look of someone who's desperate. It's the same one I see in the mirror when I find one on the street." The simple, honest answer left Michael speechless. He followed the boy to a small nearby square where Danny sat on a weathered bench. "How long have you been on the streets?" Michael asked, sitting beside him. "About 4 months, since my grandma Eleanor got sick and had to be hospitalized." "What about your parents?" "Never knew my dad. My mom, she left when I was 5. Said she was going to find work in New York City and would be back soon. I'm still waiting." Dear listener, if you're enjoying the story, please take a moment to like and especially subscribe to the channel. It helps us a lot as we're just starting out. Now, continuing. Michael felt a tightness in his chest. Here was a child who had lost everything yet was offering food to a stranger who had tried to steal his few belongings. "What about you?" Danny asked. "What brought you here?" Michael hesitated. He wasn't used to talking about his life, especially the last few years. But there was something about the boy that made him feel he could trust him. "I had a normal life until 2 years ago. I worked at an auto repair shop, had my own house, and my wife Jessica was pregnant with our first child." "What happened?" "The shop closed. I couldn't find another job. The bills started piling up. Jessica was worried about the baby, and I was desperate. I started doing wrong things to get money." Danny listened carefully without judgment. Jessica found out. She said she couldn't raise a child with someone she couldn't trust anymore. She took the money we had saved and left. I never saw her again. And the baby? She was born 6 months ago. A girl. Jessica won't let me see her. Says I have to prove I've changed before I can meet my daughter. Is that why you were going through my things? Michael hung his head, ashamed. Jessica's in trouble. She called yesterday crying, saying she might lose her apartment. I thought, if I could get some money to help, maybe she'd see I still care. And you thought stealing from a street kid would get you something valuable. The irony of the situation hit Michael hard. He'd spent the night walking the streets, looking for opportunities, only to end up trying to steal from someone who had less than he did. I was desperate. I wasn't thinking straight. Danny pulled the worn notebook from the box and showed him some pages. They were filled with handwritten numbers. Know what this is? Michael looked closer. They were calculations, simple additions and subtractions, but neatly organized in columns. Every dollar I make, I write it here. Collecting cans, helping carry groceries for people at the market, sweeping in front of stores. I save it all so I can visit my grandma at the hospital and bring her something nice. How much have you saved? $342. It's not much, but it's all I have. Michael fell silent. This boy who slept on the streets and barely had enough to eat was saving money to care for his sick grandmother. Meanwhile, he had tried to steal those hard-earned savings. Danny, I'm so sorry. I didn't know. No need to apologize, you didn't know, but now that you do, how about we figure out a way to help your wife without doing anything wrong? The boy's suggestion sounded almost naive to Michael, but there was a sincerity in it that touched him deeply. You have an idea? You said you worked at an auto repair shop. Do you still know how to fix cars? I do. I worked 15 years doing that. Then why not offer your services to people around here? Plenty of folks need a trustworthy mechanic. Michael laughed bitterly. And who's going to trust me? A guy living on the streets with no shop, no tools. Mr. Frank complains every day about his car making a strange noise. Mrs. Nancy from the grocery store always says her car won't start on the first try. Mr. Anthony from the butcher shop doesn't even use his car anymore because he's tired of paying mechanics who don't fix anything. Michael looked at the boy with admiration. In just a few months on the streets, Danny had observed and memorized the problems of the neighborhood. But I don't have tools. Mr. Frank's a good guy. If he knows you understand cars, he might let you use the space behind the bakery to work. And tools? Well, we can figure that out later. For the first time in months, Michael felt a spark of hope. It wasn't some far-fetched plan, but it was honest. It was a start. Why do you want to help me? You don't even know me. Danny tucked the notebook into the box and watched the children playing in the square. When my grandma told me she was going to be sick for a long time, she said something I've never forgotten. She said you never know when you'll need help, so whenever you can help someone, you should, because one day that help comes back to you. The wisdom in those words, coming from a child who had lost everything, left Michael moved. For the first time in a long while, he didn't feel alone. Should we talk to Mr. Frank? Let's. But first, Danny hesitated. Promise me that if he gives you a chance, you won't let him down. Mr. Frank has helped me a few times. I don't want him thinking badly of me if you mess up. The boy's concern was genuine. Michael realized he wasn't just asking for an opportunity for himself. He was risking the trust Danny had built with the only people who treated him well. I promise. If Mr. Frank trusts me, I'll do everything right. They walked back to the bakery. The smell of fresh bread already filled the street, and a few early customers were starting to arrive. Frank was behind the counter, serving coffee and arranging the loaves. Mr. Frank, Danny called from the door. Can I talk to you? Of course, Danny, come in. You too, he said to Michael, his tone less hostile than before. Remember how you always complain about the noise your car's making? I do. Why? Michael's a mechanic. He could take a look. Frank studied Michael skeptically. A mechanic? Where do you work? Michael took a deep breath. It was time to be honest. "I don't work at a shop anymore, Mr. Frank. I lost my job 2 years ago and have been trying to get back on my feet since." "But Danny's right. I know cars and I could check yours out." "And how much do you charge?" "Nothing. I just want a chance to prove I can be useful." Frank studied Michael for a few seconds. There was something in the man's demeanor, the way he spoke about his situation without drama, that impressed him. "All right, my car's out back. You can take a look after I close the bakery this afternoon." "Thank you, Mr. Frank. You won't regret it." When they left the bakery, Michael felt he'd taken the first step toward rebuilding his life. But he also knew it was just the beginning. "So now what?" he asked Danny. "Now you prove you know what you're doing, and I'll keep saving up to visit my grandma." "About that, when was the last time you saw her?" 3 weeks ago. The bus fare to the hospital is expensive, and there's always some emergency. Michael wanted to help, but he didn't even have money for himself. "How about we go together tomorrow? If I make some cash fixing Mr. Frank's car today, I'll pay for your ticket." "Really?" Danny's eyes lit up. "Really? Partners help each other, right?" It was the first time Michael saw Danny smile. A shy smile, but genuine. The rest of the day passed quickly. Michael watched the neighborhood bustle, looking for potential customers. Danny continued his usual routine, collecting cans, helping elderly folks with their groceries, sweeping in front of stores for spare change. Dear listener, if you're enjoying the story, take a moment to like and especially subscribe to the channel. It helps us a lot as we're just starting out. Now, back to the story. By late afternoon, Frank closed the bakery and led Michael to his car, a red Ford Focus about 15 years old. "It makes a weird noise when I start it, and sometimes it stalls when it's hot," Frank explained. Michael asked to start it and immediately pinpointed the problem. It was the alternator belt that was loose, and there was a small leak in the cooling system. "I can fix it today. I just need a new belt and some radiator additive. It'll cost about $20 total." "And your labor?" "Free today. I want you to see I know what I'm talking about." Frank was impressed by Michael's honesty. He decided to pay for the parts and watch the work. In an hour, Michael had fixed both problems. The car ran perfectly, no noise, no hiccups. "Wow, it's like new." Frank tested the car a few times. "I've had this issue for months and no mechanic could fix it right. Just a matter of proper diagnosis." "Michael, I have a proposal. I've got some customers here who always complain about their cars. How about you use the space behind the bakery as a workshop? We split whatever you earn 50-50. Michael couldn't believe his ears. In one day, he'd gone from being a thief to a business partner. "Seriously?" "Seriously. But there's one condition." "What?" "Danny told me you've been going through tough times. If you work here, I want you to always be honest with me. No shady stuff, got it?" Michael looked at Danny, who was standing nearby listening. The boy had bet on him, risked his reputation. He couldn't let him down. "Got it. Only straight deals from now on." "Great. Tomorrow I'll spread the word there's a new mechanic in the neighborhood." That night, Michael earned $50 for the job. It wasn't much, but it was honest money. He gave half to Danny, who initially refused. "It's your share, you got me the job. But you did the work. And you introduced me to Frank. We're partners, remember?" Danny accepted the $25 with a smile. Now he had enough to visit his grandmother the next day. "Michael, can I ask you something?" "Sure. Are you going to call your wife? Tell her you got a job?" Michael hesitated. He wanted to call Jessica, but he was afraid of her reaction. What if she didn't believe him? What if she'd already given up on him for good? "I don't know if it's a good idea yet. Maybe I should wait, show her the change is real." "I get it. But if I were you, I'd try. People deserve to know when we're trying to change." Danny's words echoed in Michael's mind all night. The boy was right. Jessica deserved to know he was trying to rebuild himself. The next morning, Michael woke up with a strange feeling. For the first time in months, he had a reason to get up. He had work. He had purpose. He found Danny already awake, packing his things. "Ready to visit your grandma?" "More than ready. I'm even nervous. It's the first time I'll bring her something nice." They walked to the bus station. During the ride, Danny told him more about his grandmother, Eleanor. She was 72, had raised him alone after his mother left. She'd worked as a maid until she got sick. She's at County General Hospital. The doctors say she has advanced diabetes and heart problems and needs expensive meds to get better. How much do the meds cost? About $800 a month. It's a lot of money. Michael did the math in his head. With what he was earning at the makeshift shop, it'd take months to save that much. But determination grew inside him. He wouldn't leave that boy alone. At the hospital, Michael was shocked by Eleanor's condition. She was a small, frail woman, but her eyes still lit up when Danny walked in. "My sweet boy, look how big you've gotten." "Hi, Grandma. Brought a friend to meet you. This is Michael." Eleanor squeezed Michael's hand with surprising strength. "Nice to meet you, Michael. Danny's a special boy, isn't he?" "Very special, Mrs. Eleanor. He's helped me a lot. That boy has a heart of gold. Since he was little, always looking out for everyone." During the visit, Michael watched the interaction between Danny and his grandmother. There was so much love there, so much mutual care. Eleanor worried if Danny was eating well, if he was sleeping somewhere safe. Danny told her about his days but left out the hardest parts, so his grandma wouldn't worry. "Grandma, I brought you some treats." Danny pulled some sweet breads from the bag that Frank had given as a gift. "My God, how did you get money for this?" "I'm working now, Grandma. I have a partner." Danny looked at Michael with a smile. Michael felt his chest tighten. Danny was calling him his partner with so much pride. When they left the hospital, Michael was determined to do more for the two of them. "Danny, I need to tell you something." "What is it?" "I'm going to call my wife today. I'll tell her about you, about Frank, about how you helped me find a new path. Do you think she'll believe you?" "I don't know. But you're right. She deserves a chance to know I'm changing." Back in the neighborhood, Michael stopped at a payphone. His hands shook as he dialed Jessica's number. "Hello? Jessica, it's me, Michael." There was silence on the other end. "What do you want, Michael?" "I want to tell you I got a job. I'm working as a mechanic again." "What kind of job?" Her voice was full of suspicion. "Honest work, Jessica. I met a boy who showed me a different path. Now I have a partnership with a baker. I'm fixing cars in the neighborhood." "Michael, you've promised changes before." "I know, but this time is different. I'm not asking you to believe me right now. I just want you to know I'm trying. For real." Jessica was silent for a few seconds. "How much are you making?" "Not much yet, but it's a start." "And Jessica, I heard you're struggling. I want to help." "I don't need your help. But our daughter does. Even if you want nothing to do with me, let me help with her expenses." Michael could hear Jessica crying on the other end. "Michael, I want to believe you, but I'm scared. I have a daughter to protect." "I understand. I'm just asking for a chance to prove I've changed. I can start by sending some money for Emma's expenses." "Emma? Our daughter. That's the name you chose, right? How do you know?" "I found out. I've been keeping my distance, Jessica, respecting your space, but I needed to know you were okay." Another silence. "All right, Michael. You can send some help for Emma's expenses, but that doesn't mean we're getting back together." "I know. I just want to contribute to my daughter's future." After hanging up, Michael felt both relieved and anguished. Jessica had accepted the help, but the distance between them was still huge. Danny, who had waited respectfully nearby, came closer. "How did it go?" "Hard, but it's a start." "She agreed to let you send money." "She did. Now I need to work twice as hard to help both of you, your grandma and my daughter." "We can do it, Michael. Together we can do it." The boy's confidence was contagious. Michael felt that maybe, for the first time in years, he was on the right path. In the weeks that followed, the small makeshift shop behind the bakery started gaining a reputation. Frank had spread the word, and the first customers began showing up. Mrs. Nancy was the first. Her car really wouldn't start on the first try. Michael found it was a battery and starter issue. 2 days later, it was fixed. Anthony from the butcher shop brought his old van, which hadn't run in months. Michael worked on it for a whole week, fixing several accumulated problems. When he handed it back running perfectly, Anthony was so happy he paid double the agreed amount. "Michael, you saved my life. This van is my bread and butter. For every satisfied customer, 2 referrals would come in." Within a month, Michael was making more money than he did at his old shop. Danny kept helping, organizing tools, greeting customers, jotting down appointments in his notebook. The two had become an inseparable pair, but not everything was smooth sailing. One afternoon, while Michael was test driving a car on the street, he was approached by 2 guys he knew from his rough days. "Michael, man, you vanished off the radar," said Rodney, a skinny, jittery guy. "Hey, Rodney, how have you been? Man, you look different, clean, working now. What's the deal?" "I changed my life, Rodney. I've got honest work now." "Honest work?" The other guy, Eric, laughed sarcastically. "Since when does honest work pay well?" "It's paying enough for me." "Michael, I've got a proposition for you. Easy job, guaranteed cash. Remember how we used to do things back in the day?" Michael felt his stomach twist. He knew exactly what Rodney was suggesting. "I'm not in that game anymore, Rodney." "Man, have you lost it? It's good money, enough to help your wife and still have some left over." Michael realized they knew about his situation with Jessica. That made him even more uneasy. "I said I'm not doing it. Think it over, Michael. Your wife needs it, your daughter needs it, and you're here playing mechanic." Just then, Danny appeared around the corner, coming back from the grocery store with some supplies for the shop. When he saw the 2 men talking to Michael, he slowed his pace. "Who's the kid?" Eric asked. He's my assistant," Michael answered, trying to shield Danny. "Assistant? Michael, you've really hit rock bottom." Rodney stepped closer to Michael and spoke quietly. "Michael, you've got till tomorrow to think it over. It's a one-time opportunity. Don't let it slip away." The 2 walked off, leaving Michael tense and worried. Danny approached. "Who were those men?" "Nobody important." "Michael, you're pale. What did they want?" Michael didn't want to drag Danny into his past troubles, but the boy was sharp. He could tell something was wrong. "Just some people I knew before. They wanted to offer me a job." "What kind of job?" "The kind I used to do before I met you." Danny understood immediately. "Are you going to take it?" "No, I'm not." "You sure?" Michael looked at Danny and saw the concern in the boy's eyes. He realized his answer hadn't sounded very convincing. "I'm sure, Danny. I'm not going back to that life." But that night, Michael tossed and turned. Rodney was right about one thing. Jessica really was struggling. He'd only sent $200 last month, nowhere near enough to actually help. What if it was just this once? What if he took this one job, got a bigger payout, and really helped Jessica and Emma? The next morning, Michael was fixing a car when Rodney showed up again. "So, Michael, thought about the offer?" "I already said I'm not interested." "Michael, it's $15,000 one night. Your cut would be $5,000. Michael stopped what he was doing. $5,000 was more than he made in 2 months of honest work. "What exactly would I have to do?" "Nothing complicated, just drive. You know the city like the back of your hand, all the exit routes." Michael knew exactly what that meant. It was getaway driving for something illegal. "I can't, Rodney." "Think about your daughter, Michael. $5,000 can fix a lot of problems." Just then, Danny arrived with the lunch Frank always made for them. Seeing Rodney there again, he grew worried. "Michael, everything okay?" "Yeah, Danny. Rodney was just leaving." "Michael, you've got till tonight," Rodney said before walking away. After that, the offer's off the table. Danny and Michael ate lunch in silence. The boy could tell Michael was deep in thought, but didn't want to push for a conversation. "Michael," Danny finally spoke up, "can I tell you something about my mum?" "Of course." "Before she left, she started doing some bad things to get money. She said it was to give me a better life." Michael stopped eating. "What kind of things?" "I don't really know. I was too young. But I remember her coming home with a lot of cash, then crying, then fighting with my grandma. One day she said she'd done something really wrong, that bad people were after her, and she had to leave to protect me. And she never came back. Never. My grandma always said sometimes people do wrong things thinking it's for the sake of those they love, but they end up losing exactly who they wanted to protect. Danny's story hit Michael like a punch to the gut. That was exactly what he'd been considering, accepting Rodney's offer, thinking he was helping Jessica and Emma, but risking losing everything he'd fought to rebuild. Danny, thank you for telling me that. Sometimes we need to remember there are things more important than money. Dear listener, if you're enjoying the story, don't forget to like and especially subscribe to the channel. It helps us a lot as we're just starting out. Now, back to the story. That afternoon, Michael worked with renewed determination. He wouldn't accept Rodney's offer. He wouldn't risk throwing away everything he'd built. But at 7 that evening, Jessica called. Michael answered with a tight chest. Michael, it's me. Hi, Jessica. How are you all? Michael, I didn't want to call, but I'm desperate. What happened? Emma's sick. She has an infection and needs expensive medicine. The doctor said it's urgent. How much does it cost? $3,000. Michael felt the world collapse. $3,000, exactly half of what Rodney had offered. Jessica, I'll get the money. How? You said you're barely making ends meet. I'll get it. Can you wait until tomorrow? Michael, please don't do anything wrong. I'd rather find another way than know you went back to that life. I won't do anything wrong, Jessica, trust me. After hanging up, Michael was frantic. How could he honestly earn $3,000 in one night? Danny, who'd overheard, approached. Is it your daughter? She's sick, needs medicine that costs $3,000. That's a lot of money. Yeah, and I don't have it. Your friend offered $5,000, right? Michael looked at Danny, surprised. The boy was sharper than he'd realized. Danny, I'm not taking his offer. Why not? Because it's wrong, and wrong always ends badly. Danny was quiet for a few minutes, thinking. Michael, how many happy customers do we have? About 15. What if we asked to borrow? $200 from each, that'd be $3,000. Danny, I can't go around begging. It's not begging, it's a loan. You can pay them back in a few months. The idea was simple, but Michael hesitated. What if people refused? What if he lost the trust he'd built? Let's try, Danny insisted. Worst they can say is no. They started with Frank. Michael explained his daughter's situation and asked to borrow $200. Of course, Michael, you're trustworthy. Pay me back whenever you can. Frank not only lent the $200 but gave an extra $100 as a gift for the child. Nancy lent $300. You saved my car, Michael. Now let me help save your daughter. Eric, the van driver, lent $500. Michael, you gave me my life back. Now it's my turn to help. In 2 hours, Michael and Danny had collected $2,400. They still needed $600. Now what? Danny asked. Michael looked at the boy and got an idea. Danny, how much do you have saved? $450. Can you lend it to me? I promise I'll pay you back by the end of the month. Danny didn't hesitate for a second. Of course, we're partners. With Danny's $450 and another $150 Michael had in his pocket, they managed to get exactly $3,000. Michael was moved. In a humble community, people who barely knew each other had come together to help a sick child. Danny, how can I thank you? By saving your daughter, that's what partners do. Michael called Jessica and told her he had the money. She was surprised and asked how he'd managed it. Good people helped me, Jessica. People who believed in me. Michael, I don't know what to say. You don't have to say anything. Just take care of Emma. Can I send you a picture of her? Please, I'd love that. That night, Michael received the first photo of his daughter. Emma was a beautiful baby, with big eyes just like her mother's. Michael cried as he looked at the picture. Danny, who was beside him, was also moved. She's very pretty, Michael. Yeah, and she's alive thanks to you. What do you mean? If you hadn't stopped me from taking those guys' offer, I'd probably be in jail today. Instead, I got the money honestly, and even strengthened my ties with the community. We did it together, Michael. The next morning, Rodney showed up again. So, Michael, changed your mind? I don't need to anymore, Rodney. I solved my problem another way. What other way? The honest way. Michael, you missed a golden opportunity. No, Rodney. I gained something much more valuable. I earned people's respect and the trust of those I love. Rodney left laughing, but Michael didn't care. He knew he'd made the right choice. In the weeks that followed, word spread through the neighborhood about how Michael had gotten the money to save his daughter. People were impressed by the community's effort and his honesty. New customers started coming to the shop. Some even traveled from nearby areas, referred by those who already knew Michael's work. Danny kept helping at the shop and visiting his grandmother weekly. Eleanor was responding well to treatment, and the doctors began talking about discharging her. Michael, Danny said one day, my grandma might be able to leave the hospital next month. That's great. You must be happy. I am, but I'm also worried. Why? We don't have a place to live. The apartment we had was sold to pay the hospital bills. Michael thought for a few seconds. Danny, how about you stay here? Frank has some empty rooms above the bakery. I'm sure he'd let you stay. Really, you think he would? Let's talk to him. Frank not only agreed, but was happy with the idea. Eleanor is a hard-working woman. She can help at the bakery when she's better. And Danny, well, Danny's already part of the family here. When Eleanor left the hospital, she was welcomed with a surprise party organized by the neighborhood shopkeepers. There was cake, snacks, soda, and many people eager to meet the grandmother of the boy who had touched everyone's hearts. Danny, Eleanor said that night, you've made some very special friends. I have, Grandma, especially Michael. He's like a father to me. Danny's words moved Michael deeply. He too had come to see Danny as a son, the son he couldn't raise yet but had been given as a gift by life. 2 months later, Jessica made an unexpected call. Michael, it's me. Hi, Jessica. How's Emma? She's doing great. The medicine worked perfectly. She's growing strong and healthy. That's wonderful. I'm so happy. Michael, I wanted to thank you and also apologize. Apologize for what? For not believing in you before. Because it took me so long to see that you've really changed. Jessica, you had every right to doubt me. I'd let you down before. Michael, would you like to meet your daughter? Michael nearly dropped the phone. Really? You'd let me? I would. I think Emma deserves to know her father. What about us, Jessica? Is there any chance for us? I don't know, Michael. It's still really hard for me. But maybe we can start slow. As friends, for Emma's sake. I'll take anything, Jessica. I just want to be part of my daughter's life. Then come over for lunch on Sunday. I want to introduce you to Emma properly. When Michael shared the news with Danny, the boy was almost happier than he was. Michael, you're going to meet your daughter. I am, and you know what? I want you to come with me. Me? Why? Because you're the one who made this possible. If it weren't for you, I might be in jail, or worse. I want Jessica and Emma to meet the most important person in my new life. On Sunday, Michael and Danny dressed in their best clothes. Danny was nervous. What if your wife doesn't like me? Impossible, Danny. How could anyone not like you? When they arrived at Jessica's house, Michael was nervous too. It had been almost a year since he'd seen her in person. Jessica opened the door holding Emma in her arms. Michael's legs nearly gave out when he saw his daughter up close for the first time. Hi, Michael, Jessica greeted him with a shy smile. Hi, Jessica. You look beautiful. And Emma, wow, she's perfect. Come in, and you must be Danny. Michael talks about you all the time. That's me, Miss Jessica. Nice to meet you. The pleasure's mine, Danny. Michael told me you're a very special person. During lunch, Michael told Jessica the whole story of how he met Danny, how the boy had changed his life, and how they'd become partners. Jessica was impressed by Danny's maturity and the obvious bond between them. Michael, you really have changed, she said when Danny went to play with Emma in the living room. Danny taught me there are more important things than easy money. He's an amazing kid. Yeah, and you know what else? He doesn't have a father. His mother left when he was little. In a way, we filled the gaps for each other. He taught me how to be a better person, and I tried to be the father he never had. Jessica watched Michael playing with Emma and Danny joining in. It was a beautiful sight. Michael, I want you to know I'm proud of you. Thank you, Jessica. That means a lot. And I want you to come see Emma whenever you want. Really, really, she needs to know her father. And you've proven you deserve this chance. The months that followed were a slow but steady rebuilding. Michael visited Emma every week, sometimes alone, sometimes with Danny. Jessica and Michael rebuilt their friendship, grounded in their shared love for their daughter. The repair shop kept growing. Michael hired an official assistant and managed to buy better equipment. Danny kept studying and helping with the business. Eleanor made a full recovery and started working at the bakery with Frank. The two got along wonderfully, and soon a special affection blossomed between them. "Danny," Eleanor said one day, "I think Frank is interested in me." "And are you interested in him?" "A little. He's a good man, hard-working, and he really likes you." "If you're happy, I'll be happy, Grandma." The relationship between Eleanor and Frank grew naturally. In 6 months, they were dating. In a year, they were talking about marriage. "Michael," Danny said, "I think I'm getting a step-grandpa." "And I'm getting a stepfather-in-law," Michael laughed. "Mr. Frank became my business partner, and now he's joining the family." Life in the neighborhood had turned into one big, extended family. Michael was respected as a mechanic and admired as a person. Danny was loved by everyone as the boy who had changed a man's life and, indirectly, touched the lives of the whole community. One day, 2 years after that first meeting under the awning, Michael got an unexpected call. "Michael, it's me, Jessica." "Hi, Jessica, how are you?" "Michael, I need to tell you something important." "What is it? Did something happen to Emma?" "No, Emma is fine. It's about us." Michael felt his heart race. "What about us?" "Michael, I think I've fallen in love with you again." Michael was speechless. "Jessica, I know it might sound strange, after everything that happened, but seeing you with Emma, seeing the man you've become, seeing how you care for Danny, I realized you really have changed, and that I never stopped truly loving you. Jessica, I never stopped loving you, not for a single day. So, would you like to try again? Slowly, rebuilding everything." "I'd love to, Jessica. Really, I would." "And Danny? How would he feel if we got back together?" "Danny would be happy. He always wanted our family to be whole again." "Then let's try. But this time Danny is part of the family too. I want to adopt him officially." Michael began to cry. "Really? Really? He's a part of you now, and you're a part of me. So he's a part of us." When Michael shared the news with Danny, the boy was overwhelmed. "You're going to have a real family now, Michael." "We're going to have a real family, Danny. Jessica wants to adopt you." "She wants to be my mom?" "Yes, if you want her to be." Danny cried uncontrollably. For the first time in years, he cried from happiness. "I do. I've always wanted a family." Michael and Jessica's wedding was simple but moving. It was held in the neighborhood square with the whole community present. Danny was the ring bearer, carrying the rings with a smile that never left his face. Eleanor and Frank got married the same day, in a double ceremony that moved everyone. Emma, now 2 years old, ran around the party calling Danny bro and filling everyone with joy. "Michael," Danny said during the celebration, "do you remember that night when we first met?" "I do. How could I forget? Do you think if I hadn't offered you half my bread, our story would be different?" Michael thought for a few seconds. "I think so, Danny. That simple gesture changed everything. It showed me there was still kindness in the world. And do you think if you had taken those men's offer, we'd be here today?" "I'm sure we wouldn't. You saved me from myself, Danny." "We saved each other, Michael. One saved the other." 5 years later, Michael had one of the most respected auto shops in the area. Danny was in high school, dreaming of becoming a mechanical engineer to work with his adoptive father. Emma grew up surrounded by love, with 3 father figures, Michael, Danny, and Frank. Jessica went back to work as a nurse and specialized in elderly care. inspired by the kindness she saw Michael and Danny show Eleanor. Eleanor and Frank expanded the bakery and started a social project to provide job opportunities for people in vulnerable situations. "You know something, Danny?" Michael said one night as they closed up the shop. "What?" "Sometimes I think about what would have happened if I hadn't tried to take your things that night. You probably would have tried to rob someone else, gotten arrested, and I'd still be alone on the streets." "Exactly. It was fate that brought us together." "It wasn't fate, Michael. It was choice. You chose to accept my help. I chose to trust you. We chose to be family." "You're right. The best things in life are choices, not accidents." "And do you know what our best choice was?" "What?" "Choosing to believe people can change. You believed you could be better. I believed you'd make it, and it worked." That night when they got home, Jessica was waiting with Emma in her arms and a smile on her face. "How was my men's day?" "Great," Danny replied. "We fixed 5 cars, and Michael taught me how to change the oil." "And you, Michael?" "My day was perfect. I worked with my son, I'll have dinner with my wife and daughter, and tomorrow I'll do it all over again." "That's how life should be," Jessica said, giving Michael a kiss. "That's how life is when we make the right choices," Michael added, hugging the whole family. End of story. Now tell us what you thought of this story of transformation and second chances. Do you believe a simple act of kindness can completely change the course of a life? Share your thoughts in the comments and don't forget to subscribe to the channel for more heartwarming stories like this one.